Good afternoon, Graham.
Hi.
Perhaps if we just start with a brief introduction to yourself and, of course, XChanging.
Well, I'm the head of sales and marketing for XChanging Procurement Services, and we help businesses do procurement more effectively, particularly in the indirect spend area.
Right, well, of course, you've done quite a bit of work in financial services, amongst others. You've done some work with Clydesdale and Yorkshire Bank. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit more about what you did.
Well, we've been working with National Australia Bank, who own those two brands, for nearly 10 years, since 2006. And we help them with the full source to pay cycle. So we help manage a majority of spend categories for them, and also their procure to pay processes. So helping them drive better control over their spend and helping them drive savings and value out of the spend that they use.
So what are some of the biggest challenges then that are unique to the financial services from a procurement perspective?
Yeah, it's a really tough place to be at the moment in financial services and in procurement. The industry's hit with a kind of double whammy. Top line revenues are not growing, in fact they're in decline. And the procurement CPOs of these banks are struggling too. They've got to try and work out a way of reducing the cost base to help maintain that cost to income ratio for their banks. But they're being hit with increased regulatory pressure from the government, from regulatory bodies. There being increased IT investment infrastructure as they try and keep up with that demand for apps and web banking. So they're having to invest more and more, but the pressure on reducing costs is high. So there's a double hit for them as they try and address that.
So what are some of the key strategies that you find yourself employing when you're working with some of these financial services clients?
Well, let me pick three areas that we're working on that we see other financial services institutions focusing on today. Number one would be the whole focus on risk and compliance. Now that seems to, that has for the last couple of years been a major dominant factor in the way that financial services view procurement and the management of their supply base. There's still actually a long way to go for these institutions in many cases to really have a sense of the full visibility of their supply chain and understand where the risks are, particularly with their strategic vendors. Some banks have done a great job of building that infrastructure, others are still in the process of getting there. So there will still continue to be a focus on that. But I think the focus is sometimes too far on that, and that leads me to my second and third points really. I think beyond risk and compliance management, banks do need to grasp the opportunity of the recession, the economic crisis, to think about operating cost reduction to a greater extent than they have been in recent years. And so this is reinvigorating indirect sourcing programs and deploying best practice category management through partners or doing it themselves to maximise the impact of and show some evidence of real improvement in the cost to income ratio line through procurement. The final dimension that I would pick on as a strategy, the big banks have the scale, can do this stuff really well, but there's a massive population of mid-sized and smaller banks and building societies and insurance organisations who really struggle to develop a procurement organisation of scale. And I think not only from a procurement perspective should they explore avenues to access capability and bring capability into their organisation, but even in their full operational structure, there's some thought in the marketplace about creating a banking utility whereby the operational processing of banking and financial services institutions can be managed by a central body, a body like XChanging, on behalf of the smaller institutions who can never get the economies of scale of a larger bank or insurance body, and we do a lot of that work as part of our business.
It's a very interesting area to look at, actually. So, if people want to find out more about it and more about what XChanging do, where should they be looking?
Well, I would recommend people to go straight to XChanging.com. We've got a BPO business that specialises in financial services support. We've got clients like Deutsche Bank, Lloyds of London, and most of the insurance industry use our services already. Or if you're interested in procurement services, go to XChanging.com/procurement.
Fantastic. Thank you very much indeed.
My pleasure.